Good day, students. Do you want a gift? Who would say no to a gift? Come along with me to take your gift.
Good morning, students. Here you could see a beautiful picture of gifts. Everybody loves to have a gift. Why do we give so much importance for the gift? Or shall I ask you a question? Why do we love gifts? We love gifts because the value we've attached to it and the person who gives that gift. Okay, now let us go to a new lesson. Who's getting the best Christmas present in the world? Come children, let's start. Okay students, before we start the lesson, let me introduce the characters of this lesson. The first picture, you have Connie, who's 101 years old. And the second picture talks about her husband, Jim McPherson, Connie's husband. Here you have the author of this story, Michael Morpurgo, who has written the story. And he also comes here as a character. So, totally we have 3 characters in the story. But as students, we are also the silent listeners and we are going to take a very major role in the story. Though we are passive, we don't participate, we have a lot of questions to ask in the story and we have to think and reflect about it. Michael Morpurgo wants to get a roll-top desk. He thinks that he could buy it in a cheaper rate. So he decides to go to a junk shop. Students, you may wonder what is a junk shop. A junk shop is a place where you get old articles. So our author, the Michael Morpurgo, goes there and he finds a roll-top desk. He could see a roll-top desk, but the roll-top desk has been burnt because of the fire and it has some scorch marks, that is burnt marks all over there. Michael decides that he could work on it and make it ready for his convenience. So he buys a roll-top desk from the junk shop. Junk shop is a place where you could get old articles. So here you could see the roll-top desk, the picture of the roll-top desk. And now in the second picture, you could see the author opening the roll-top desk and you could look at his face that he finds something in there. It is nothing but a letter, an envelope he could find it. He is surprised to see a letter inside that roll-top desk. Do you all want to know what is there in that letter? Let us go to the next slide. The author finds a letter written by Jim McPherson to Connie McPherson. There is a note on the letter. It is written that Jim's last letter received on January 15, 1915, to be buried with me when the time comes. Students, you should understand one thing very clearly now. The letter has been written by Jim McPherson, but on the top of the envelope there is a small note written by Connie. She has written that the letter must be buried with her when she dies. That's the meaning of that. And she had received the letter from her husband on January 15th, 1915. She has been keeping this letter safe for a long time. Then, how come this letter went to the junk shop? Students, when you read the lesson, you will understand, as she was a very old lady, accidentally, her candle light fell down and there was a fire accident in her house. So people saved her from the house and all the articles which were in the house were sent to the junk shop. The letter, which she had kept it safely all these days, went along with the roll-top desk. Our author, Michael Morpurgo, when he went to that junk shop, he saw this roll-top desk and he took it back to his house, where he finds this letter. Okay, children? Now, students, it's time for homework. I have given you 5 words to find out the meanings. I also request you to read the lesson and enrich your vocabulary. After that, let us move on to the second part of this lesson. Students, here you could see a soldier standing in this picture and looking at the destruction caused. You may all understand this destruction is caused by the war. Michael reads the letter. Michael understands that Connie's husband is Jim. Jim had participated in the Second World War. In this letter, Jim talks about how he celebrated Christmas with his enemy, the Germans. German soldiers are called as Fritz and British soldiers are called as Tommy. Now, here Jim says that it was Christmas Eve, the day before Christmas, and how the German soldiers came forward to celebrate Christmas. Tommies, that is, our British soldiers, were hesitant, but they also decided to celebrate it with Fritz. Now, both the Germans and the British soldiers, though they were enemies, they shared the drinks and the cake what they had to celebrate Christmas. The soldiers were actually hiding in the trenches. They came out of the trenches and they celebrated the Christmas. Both the Tommy and the Fritz enjoyed the Christmas by playing a football match on that day. When the soldiers were playing and drinking and were merrymaking, here Jim Macpherson and Hans Wolf, the German soldiers, both had a chance to meet each other. Hans Wolf hails from Dusseldorf. Hails means comes from. He belongs to the place Dusseldorf. And he also knew some more information about Hans Wolf. Hans Wolf can play cello in the orchestra. He speaks good English. Though he is a German, he speaks English because he had learnt English from books. And he also loves to read Thomas Hardy. Hans Wolf had a wife and a son. Students, again I have given you a word attack as homework: schnapps, goalpost, carol and goodwill. Find out the meanings of these words and enrich your vocabulary. I also request you to read the second part of this lesson. Michael Morpurgo understands that Jim Macpherson had written all his experience happened in the war to Connie. And he also understands that Connie had sent a beautiful marzipan cake to Jim Macpherson. Michael Morpurgo now wants to know where was Connie. He understands that that lady had been shifted to a nursing home. He decides to give this letter to her. He goes in search of her to Burlington nursing home. Connie was 102 years old. She had been keeping the letter of Jim for more than 70 years. And as I have already told you, she lost the letter in the fire accident, which was safely kept in the roll-top desk. Michael hands over the letter to Connie. When Michael Morpurgo hands over the letter to Connie, Connie mistakes him for Jim. She thinks that the letter with Jim was the best Christmas present for her. She says she will make marzipan cake for him. The story ends there, but the question within us continues forever. Do you think that wars are the best ways to avoid conflicts? You can see the two pictures which are in front of you. Here you can see the children crying who have lost something in that war. Please reflect and tell me whether wars are the best ways to avoid conflict. Students, the best present for Connie was Jim's letter, but the best present for you all is knowledge. Enrich your knowledge. Don't waste your time. Think and reflect the question put forth in front of you.